Guys, welcome back to the WebMonkey Show. My name is Alex, and today I have yet another mega super duper tutorial on how to use Elementor, and more specifically, I'm going to be showing you how you can use Elementor and the Elementor Cloud to build this business website. Now, you might be thinking, what exactly is Elementor Cloud? Well, it is Elementor's very own web hosting service. Yes, Elementor do have their own web hosting service, and they'll provide you with all the necessary hosting features like automatic backups, SSL encryption, support, and so much more. So basically, today's video is going to be for two types of people. One, if you're brand new to Elementor, you don't know how to use Elementor, but you want to learn, I'm going to show you how to make use of it to build this business website. And then second, if you're somebody who is already familiar with Elementor, you know how to use Elementor, but you want to learn how to build a business website with this kind of design, I'll show you how to do so. And maybe you also want to learn about the Elementor Cloud backend. I'm going to give you a preview on how it works behind the scenes. Now, speaking of the Elementor Cloud hosting service in the backend, let me give you a sneak peek right here. You can see this is the backend for my site, SEO Experts. I can manage my site from here. I can add custom domains. I have the SSL encryption right there. I can engage the site lock feature, which we'll talk about later. I can also create automatic backups as well, and also turn on the debugging and troubleshooting features. I'll show you how to work with these features towards the end of the lesson. Now, speaking of the actual website we're going to build, it's for a fictional company called SEO Experts. Basically, they are experts in search engine optimization, and they help other businesses improve their SEO. So let me give you a quick tour of what we're going to build for the site. We're going to have, as usual, the header, where we'll have the logo on the left, the main menu on the right. We'll have the main banner with the main headline that says grow your website traffic, online leads and sales. We'll have the about section, our services section, from the blog section, our partner section, testimonial section, and finally the contact us section. We're also obviously going to have a footer as well. So I'm going to show you how you can build all of this. I'll also show you how you can build the blog page as well, but not just the blog page. I'm going to show you how you can create a template that you can use for your single posts. Right now, when I try viewing one of my posts, you can see we have a particular kind of design where we have the title of the post, the meta information of the post, the featured image, the content of the post, the social media share icons, the comments section, and then the post navigation section. I'm going to show you how you can work with templates to build such a template with Elementor, and then I'm going to show you how you can build the contact us page where we'll work with the Elementor form. So we're going to make use of plenty of the elements provided by Elementor. We're also going to take a look at responsive design as well. I'll show you how you can tweak your site to look good both on mobile devices as well as tablets, and I'll also have all the timestamps in the box below. And let me also add that I am an affiliate for Elementor, which means that if you decide to buy Elementor Cloud or Elementor Pro, I will have my links down in the box below. When you do so using my link, I will get a small commission. So please, if you want to support me and support what I'm doing here on the channel, please do use my affiliate links to purchase either Elementor Cloud or Elementor Pro. So without wasting any more time, I'm really excited to show you how to work with Elementor Pro and the Elementor Cloud. Let's get started. Alrighty, so as you can see right now, I have just purchased the Elementor Cloud subscription, and I can either start creating my website, or I can go to my account. Let's go to my account, and let me just show you very quickly what I do have in here. You can see I do have quite a few websites already hosted with Elementor, but we're going to create a new site. So I'm going to click on create cloud website right here. So let's add a name. Now this can be temporary, okay? We can always change this one a bit later, but I do have my name, and it's going to be SEO Experts. Okay, that's going to be the name of my website. So I'm going to click on next. So right here, the default will now be seoexperts.elementor.cloud. You can always change this to your custom domain. We'll talk about that a bit later. I'll click on next. And then what kind of website am I creating is going to be for our business. So click on next. And then right here, if you're already somebody who is experienced working with Elementor, you can always work with pre-built layouts and wireframes and templates, but we're going to build from scratch. So down here, I'm going to click on I'd rather start from scratch. So let's click in there. And this might take a few seconds. Let's just wait. Elementor right now is already building out the site. So, all right, so what I'm going to do right now is this might take up to a minute. So I'm going to pause the video and resume the video once the installation has been completed. Welcome back, and as you can see, ta-da, your site is ready. So this took about 2.5 minutes to finish the installation. So I'm going to go ahead now, click on Let's Go, and there it is. So right now you should see on your dashboard, you should see the name of your site, and you're going to see the site lock being on. What this means is that no one will be able to access the front end of your website until you actually turn the site lock off. To better help you understand what I'm talking about, I've tried to now access the website on a different browser, but right now you can say it says, sorry, this website is hidden right now. So Elementor believes that since we're just starting to build our website, you don't want any visitors to see the site yet until it's actually ready. So in order for anyone to actually view the front end of the site, they will need to add the code right here in order to be able to view the website. Now, what code am I talking about? Well, if I go back in here to SEO Experts and I click on Manage this website, right here, let me just scroll down here, you have the site lock section. So by default, Elementor will create a pin for you, and this is the one I've been given, 0909. So if I was to go back to the browser, add 0909, I will now be able to view the site on the front end. But again, this is for visitors and anyone whom you might want to be able to view the site while you're building it. You can always turn off the site lock right here. Just click on Unlock Site, and the site lock will be off. So we do have other features in here like backups, troubleshooting, and so on. We'll talk about this much later in the course. But right here, we can edit our website with Elementor, and we can open the WordPress dashboard as well. I'm going to open the dashboard, and let's take a look at the actual WordPress backend of our site. And let's wait for a few more seconds. It should load in just a minute. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come down here to Appearance, and let's go over to the themes. So you will see that by default, since we're working with Elementor, the Hello theme built by Elementor themselves would be the theme that will be installed on the site. So jump in the very next video where I'll show you how Elementor works. Alright, so before we get started with the actual tutorial, I wanted to give you a quick crash course on how Elementor actually works. Now, I am using a different site here for demonstrative purposes. So the general idea here is that whenever you try to edit or create a page with Elementor, on the left-hand side, you will have what I like to call the Elementor panel. This is where you can add elements to your page, and you can do so many things. And then on the right, you have the actual content area. Now, before we begin working with the elements, one thing I like to do though is to change the UI interface color. So right here, you have access to the settings button. I'm going to click in there, and right here, you have the user preferences. I'm going to click right in there, and then right here for your UI theme, switch from auto to text to dark. Okay, now I don't know about you, but I personally prefer the dark theme. If you prefer the light theme, you can of course stick with that. You can also do other things like change the panel width as well, make it as wide as you want to. I'm just going to stick with 300 for the width. And then down here, you have the default device view. You can switch from the desktop, which is typically, you can switch from the default, which is typically desktop, to tablet or mobile. But I'm going to stick with default. Let's go ahead, update, and voila. All right, now to access the elements, you will want to click on this button right here on the right. So the way it works here is that you have different kinds of blocks in different sections. Let me go ahead and close everything. You have Basic, Pro, General, Site, Single, and WordPress. Our favorites is for your most frequently used elements. You can add them in here. We'll talk about that later. So under Basic, as an example, right here, you can add elements like inner section, a header, an image, text editor, video button, and so on. Under Pro, you have access to even more sophisticated blocks like your form, portfolio, login, slides, flipbox, and so on. And it's basically just like that. Under general, you have access to more elements like your counter, testimonial, accordion, and so on and so forth. So let me give you a very, very quick demonstration. If I go back to basic and I wanted to add a header, I would click on the heading element, click, and then simply drag into my content area. And now I can add my header. So right here on the title, I'm just going to say this is a header. Okay. So basically the way it works is that for all your elements with Elementor, you typically would have access to 3 different areas. You'll have the content, style, and then advanced. But please note that this would also depend on the actual kind of element that you're working with. As an example, with the header, we have access to the content section where we can add the actual title, or we can add a link for the title. We can change the size, make it bigger if we wanted to, and we can also add an HTML tag and add some alignment. But if I was to go back to my elements right here and I was to, let's say, use the inner section element, so let's click and drag, drop it in here. Now you're going to see a different kind of section. Instead of content, we now have layout, where we can change the width of the section, change the height of the section, and so on. But we still have access to the style and the advanced section. So the point I'm trying to make here is that what you will have access to in terms of settings and functionality will depend largely on the kind of element that you're working with. Let me go ahead and simply close this because we don't need it. All right, going back to the header element, on the content, like I said earlier, we can add the title, link, and so on. On the style, now this is where you can modify the way the header would look like. We have the text color in here. We can click in there, change the text color to anything that we want to change it to. We do have the typography where we can change the family. So let's see, we can go with something like, let's say, Rock 3D as an example. Oops, that's not a very good font to work with. Let me change this one to, let's say, Russo 1. Okay, that's better. And then, of course, we can change the size in here as well, make it bigger. We can change the weight, transform from default to, let's say, uppercase, and so on and so forth. You have access to text stroke, text shadow, blend mode, and so on. And then under advanced, this is where you can do things like add margins and patterns. You can change the position of your elements. You can add animation and motion effects in here as well. So as an example, we can add, like, let's say, an entrance animation. So let's try the zoom in. So you can see right now you have that animation where it's zooming in. You can change the animation duration, add other things like borders, masks, make it responsive, add attributes, and so on. Basically, you have access to a ton of features and settings to modify your elements the way you want to modify them too. Now, whenever you add elements to your content area, you will have a column and also a section. Right here, this button right here, the blue one with the pen, this will be to edit the actual elements. If I click in there to edit the heading, so now you can see I can access the 3 areas again on the content, style, and advanced. But then right here, you have access to the column button. We have a column holding our header element. So right here, we can change things like the column width, the vertical alignment, the horizontal alignment, and so on. But then up here in blue, you will now have a section holding the column, which in turn holds our element. So right here, when we click on edit section, we can do things like change the content width from box to full width. If we're going with box, we can make it like really narrow or very wide. We can change the height as well if we wanted to. We can do things like change the vertical alignment. On the style, we can add like a background to the entire section. So if I click on classic in here as an example, I can go to color, go in here, and we can add like a red background for the entire section. And so on. Under advanced, again, we can add things like margins, patterns, add motion effects, and so on. Also, if I was to right click on the column button right here, I can do things like add a new column, I can duplicate the column, I can copy the styles of the column and paste those styles onto another column. I can do the exact same thing for my section as well. I can duplicate the section, I can copy the styles, or I can click on reset style in here. That will reset everything back to what it was. And as well, I have access to saving this as a template. We'll talk about that one a bit later. And of course, I can also go ahead and simply delete the entire section if I wanted to. So don't worry if you feel a bit overwhelmed. We're going to be working with Elementor a lot in this tutorial. I mean, that's the whole point. So you're going to get very used and familiar with how Elementor works. But before I close, down here, you have access to your settings button in here where you can change the title of the page. Please note that the settings button in here is for the actual page you're working on. The settings button up here is for Elementor itself, so please note the difference. So under settings for this page, we can change the title, we can change the status from published to draft, pending review, and so on. We can add a featured image. We can choose to hide the title if we wanted to. We can change the page layout as well. And of course, under style, we can add like a background color for the entire page and so on. And then right here, we have something called the navigator, which would allow us to navigate around the elements inside of the page. We'll talk about one a bit later. You have your history button right here where you can take a look at all the edits you've made. You can redo or undo all your changes. And then of course, in here, you have access to the responsive mode where you can switch from the default, which is desktop, to tablet view or even mobile view if you wanted to. Really awesome feature right there. And of course, in here, you can preview your changes as well before you publish them. You have your update button. And finally, right here, you do have your save options where you can save as a draft or save as a template. So again, don't worry if all this seems very overwhelming. We're going to be working a lot with Elementor, and I promise you, you're going to get used to all the settings. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you in the next one. Now that you've seen how Elementor works from the front end, let me show you a few of its settings in the back end. So let's go over to the back end right here, and you will see Elementor and then templates. Templates is where you can preview the templates that you've built and saved. You can create pop-ups. The theme builder, we will work with this a bit later. The kit library, this is where you can access pre-built templates and designs that you can quickly apply onto your site. You can search by categories, tags, kit types, kits by plan, and you have a ton of different templates available for you. All right, now for Elementor itself, let's go to settings. And the first thing you're going to see right here is this, all right, where you have the disable default colors and then disable default fonts. We have to in order to make use of a feature, but I'm not going to disable them just yet. We'll see in the very next video why or when we'll have to disable them. Now, under integrations, this is where if you wanted to integrate Elementor with certain services like your Google Maps and so on, this is where you can add the API keys, because typically you will need some sort of API key from that service in order to make it compatible with Elementor. So you have for Google Maps, Captcha, Facebook, MailChimp, Drip, ActiveCampaign, and so on. Now, under advanced, the features in here are quite advanced. So unless you know what you're doing, I would recommend you don't change anything here at all. But then experiments, very interesting. Elementor is a plugin that's constantly been improved on by the developers. So right here, what you will see is you will see the latest features that they're currently working on. And depending on when you're watching this video, it is possible that some of these features you might not see anymore because they are already part of the Elementor core. But just in case, you're watching this video and you see things like improved asset loading, improved CSS loading, it's likely you might see them under the default state. Please switch over to active. All right, active for asset loading and then CSS loading. This would help improve the loading times, the speed of the websites. And then finally down here, you will see the Flexbox container. Also, please make this one active if it isn't already active. And when you do that, down here, please save your changes. Okay, next would be submissions. This is for the Elementor form. I'll show you how it works later. You can add your custom fonts, icons, code, role manager. In here, you can manage what users can do with Elementor on your site. So as an example, if you have a user who has the role of author, you can say, hey, do not have any access to the editor and so on. And then tools in here, if you're having issues with CSS on your site, you can come in here and regenerate the files and data. If you wanted to turn on safe mode, you do have the option in here as well to enable safe mode. This is of course strictly for troubleshooting. You do have replace URL where you can change old URLs and point Elementor to the new URL that should take the place of the old one. You have version control where you can roll back to previous editions of Elementor. But ideally, you should only do this if the latest version of Elementor isn't working properly on your site. Maintenance mode, you can activate if your site is temporarily down. Maybe you're trying to update something. You can come in here, choose coming to maintenance, and then you can choose who can access the site during this time. And then finally, you can export all the templates that you've built, or you can import the template kits from another site or another website. And then system info, the last link right here. If you requested the help of the Elementor support desk, maybe there's an issue with Elementor and you're trying to get them to help you, they will typically ask you for different kinds of information. And this is typically where you would find such information like, the server information, like the software on the server, the PHP version, memory limit, and so on. So you have access to all the necessary info right here. So that's it for Elementor from the backend. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So before we begin building out the website, there are a few things we need to put in place, and let me show you. I have already created 4 different pages. So we do have the blog page, contact us, home, and then services. If you see sample page, just go ahead and delete it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if you see something like this, the sample home page, you can just go ahead and delete that page. We're not going to make use of it. I've also created 6 different posts as well, everything related to SEO. Let me show you what I did in here. So I basically added the title, like, a beginner's guide to SEO, and then simply used dummy text lorem ipsum for 4 paragraphs. And then I also added a featured image for each one of my 6 posts. So you can go ahead and also create your own sample posts as well. Now let's come down here to appearance. Let's go to menus. What we're going to do is we're going to create a main menu. So I'm going to give it a title, main menu right here. Display location, set that one to header, create menu. And then we're going to go ahead and add the contact us, services, and blog. We don't need to add the home link to the main menu because our logo will serve as the link to the home page. So let's add that to the menu. Now, what I will also do is I'm going to add a custom link, not actually a link, but some text, okay? And I will say get a free quote, and then 212-8762, and then 9045. I totally just made up that number. Let's add that to the menu. Let's do some rearrangement. So services will come first, blog, contact us, and then the code text. Okay, let's go ahead, save our menu. And then next would now be to add the logo to our theme. So I'm going to click on customize under appearance. Let's go to site identity, and then right here where I have select logo, I'll click in there, choose my logo right there, make sure I highlight everything, and then simply click on crop image, and we're going to hit publish. And okay, so one last thing to do, let's come down here to settings, general. If you're building a real website right now, you can change the site title to SEO experts or whatever the name of your site is. And then for the tagline, I have added leaders in SEO. This, of course, is very, very important for SEO itself in reality. So if you're building a real website, make sure you have your keywords in your tagline right here. And then finally, under reading, We're going to set the static page for our homepage displays, and then homepage, set that to home. Go ahead now, save changes, and voila. So that's it. We've added our pages, our posts, we've added the logo to our theme. We've also created our main menu, and we've made changes to the general and reading settings. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. Now, if you've been doing exactly what I've been doing, then this is how your homepage should look like with the logo and menu on the right. There might be some slight differences in the colors and size of text. Don't worry about those. We're almost ready to build our site now. There is one last thing I need to show you, and that is how global fonts and global colors work with Elementor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead now and edit the page with Elementor. Now, if you don't see the edit with Elementor link up here, just go to edit page. Okay, and then you'll see this blue button here that says edit with Elementor. So go ahead now, click on edit with Elementor. This will open up the home page with the Elementor interface. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here to my settings, and I'm going to go over to site settings. Okay, now right here we have global colors and global fonts. The way this works is we can create our most frequently used colors and fonts on our website, and then we can use them whenever we want to do so. As an example, I'm going to click on global colors, and let's change these. Okay, the primary color I'm going to go here with would be black. So the blacks are hexadecimal value will be 60. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's for black. Now for the secondary color, we're going to change this from 5459F to we're going to go right here with C0, C0. Okay, and there you go. So it's kind of like a shade of gray. It's actually the shade of my SE, and then the symbol, and then the experts, and then the text best SEO company right there. And then text, actually the body of text, the text color we're going to be using for our body would be black as well. So yeah, we'll just keep this as 7A, 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 all right? But then the accent, this typically would be for colors of your links in your website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the same color as the search icon and our logo. And that color is actually 946, and then C, and then 0, and then A. So that's the color right there. So check this out. Like, I'm going to go ahead now and update. And let me give you a very quick demonstration of how this would work. I'm going to close this. Now, let's assume that I add a header into my content area, right? Now, if I was to go to style, you see right here where we have our text color, you're going to see this icon right here, which is kind of like the global icon. I'm going to click in there. And then right here, can you now see the colors we've just set? The primary color, the secondary color, as well as the accent color. So I can choose accent, and right now you can see my heading has that color. I can go back, choose the text color right there, as you can see, and then I can choose the secondary color, and so on and so forth. So that's exactly how global colors work. If I was to go back to my site settings, the same thing applies with global fonts as well. So check this out, okay? I'm going to go ahead now, set the primary font right here. We're going to use this one for our H1 and H2 headings. So I'm going to choose Ubuntu. I really like the Ubuntu font family. So we're going to use this one for our headers, H1s and H2s. So family Ubuntu size here is actually going to be quite large. Let's go with 40 pixels first. Weight 600, that's fine. And then secondary would also be Ubuntu as well again. The only difference right now would be the size. We're going to come down here to 36 pixels. So we'll have the primary font for our H1s, and then for our H2, we'll have the secondary font. And then for the text, check this out. Like, I'm going to switch now from Roberto to Montserrat. I really do like the Montserrat fonts family for my text. And then size here would be 16 pixels. Weight, we can make that one 500. And then last but not least, we do have the accent text in here as well. We can simply come in here and also choose the overpass font. We will actually use this one for the main menu. Okay, so we'll choose overpass for the font. And then the size here would be 16 pixels. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and simply update. And there it is. Now, notice we also have the fallback font family of sans serif. So if our visitors are using browsers that cannot interpret the font families of Ubuntu, Montserrat, or Overpass, then the browser will use sans serif, which is actually a very, very good font as a fallback option. So that's it. Now, let me also show you one more thing. We do have the typography settings in here where we can actually set specific stylings for our H1s, H2s, H3 text, and so on. But now notice that it says, in order for theme styles to affect all relevant Elementor elements, please disable the default colors and fonts. Now remember, in the previous video where we talked about the Elementor settings, we will have to make a change right now in there. So what I'm going to do is this. Okay, I'm going to come back in here. Let me just view this page. All right, then I'll go to the backend now. Come down here to Elementor, go to settings, and then right here, we're going to disable the default colors and the default fonts. Let's save our changes. And now I will close this. I'm going to go back to my site settings, come down here to typography, and now you can see we now have access to this. So check this out. Okay, for the body itself, right here where we have text color, I am now going to choose the global icon and simply choose primary for our text color. And then typography, again, I'm going to click on the global icon in here and then choose text. Okay, that's how that works. And now down here for the H1, I'm simply now going to choose the accent for our H1s. Okay, and then for the typography, the global icon right here, we're going to choose primary for that. And then H2, the exact same thing all over again. For the color, we're going to go with accent. And then for the typography, we're going to go ahead now and choose secondary, and so on and so forth. So for the H3s, H4s, H5s, H6, we're going to ignore those because we're not going to make use of them. And that is pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead now and simply update. And there it is. So moving forward, we're going to be using the global font families and the global colors as well to modify the way our website looks like. But that's how to work with the global fonts and global colors. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So now it is time for us to build out the header for our website. And to give you an idea of what I'm after, it's right here. You can ignore the footer area for now. Just focus on the header right here. You can see we have the logo on the left, and then on the right, you can see we have the main menu. So we're going to build a very, very simple header with the black background there as well. So let us do this. I'm going to go over to the back end, and I'm going to come down here to templates, and then right here, I'm going to click on theme builder. And what's going to happen right now is you'll see this page with different kinds of templates we can build. We want to build the headers. I'm going to click on the plus button for the header right here to begin creating a header. And the thing about Elementor is that there are several pre-built designs of the header we can choose. You can see them right here. Plenty of different kinds of styles with the logo on the left, menu on the right. Some will have the logo in the center. Some will have social media icons and so on. But we're not interested in any of this design. So I'm going to go ahead now and close this. So let's begin building out the header. And remember, we need two main items. We need the logo and then the main menu. So let's go back in here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add under the basic section, I'm going to add a container. We'll have a container that will hold both the logo and the main menu. So I'm going to click drag and then drop it inside here. Okay. Next, right here, I'm going to change the layout from boxed to full width. We want our menu and logo to go as far wide as possible. So I'm going to click on full width right there. And then I'm going to come over here to style. All right. And then we're going to add the black background color. So right here where you have background type, I'm going to click on classic, and then color right here. We're going to click on the global icon and choose primary. So now you see we have the black background there. But now let's go back to our elements. Let's add the site logo first of all. So I'm going to click on the very first element in here and then drop it inside my container. So now you're going to see the logo appearing, and there it is right there. Very, very, very large, but we're going to change the size. Let's go back, and then next will now be the nav menu. You can see we have the nav menu right there. I'm going to click drag and then drop it just under the logo. You can see the blue line appearing right there. So I'm going to drop that right there. So now we have the logo and then the menu. Now let's go back to edit our container. So right here, I'm going to click on the button to edit the container, and then going back to layout, down here we have items. I'm going to click on items, and now we can change the direction of the columns. So here you have row, you have column, reversed row, reversed column. We're going to go with row because we want our items to be in a row. So I'm going to click on the row, and now you can see we have the menu on the right, the logo on the left. And then to align the items vertically, we're going to go with center right there. So now we have the menu kind of like being in the middle of the logo itself. And there it is. Now let's go back to edit the logo. So I'm going to click on the pen right here to edit our site logo. Now I'm going to come over here to style and check this out. Okay, I'm going to change the max width to just 50% so it's not too large. Okay, 50% for the logo, that's big enough. And now we're going to go over to the main menu right here, edit that one as well. I'm going to first of all go to advanced, and now right here where you have width, I'm going to set this to full width because we actually want our menu to take more space than the logo. So I'm going to click on full width right there, and now you can see the logo has shrunk a little bit while the container that holds our main menu has now expanded just a little bit more. Now for the alignment of our main menu, I'm going to go back to content, and then right where you have our line, we're going to align it to the right. So you can see right there, it's now aligned to the right. And now what we have to do is to change the color and the font family of our menu item. So we're going to go over to style, and then right here where you have text color, I'm actually going to click on the other button right here, and we're going to choose a color we haven't chosen yet as one of our default colors, and that's going to be the white color. So black is usually 6 zeros, white will be 6 Fs. So F, 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 F. So there we have the color. And now for the font family, right here where you have typography, we're going to click in there, and we're going to choose accent. Remember, we set the overpass font family for our accent, and I really like that for our main menu, and there it is. Very, very simple, very straightforward. I'm going to go ahead now. Before we hit publish, you may notice though that the logo, it's right up there against the edge on the top of our screen. So we need a little bit more space, right? Let's kind of add some padding between our items. So I'm going to go back to edit the container, come down here to advanced, and then right here where you have padding, we're going to add some. But before we do that, I am going to unlink the values, because the way this works is if I was to add one value in here, let's say 3, then Elementor automatically would add 3 on the other sides, but we don't want that. So I'm going to first of all unlink the values, and now from the top, we're going to add a padding of 10 pixels. Now watch the logo as I'm increasing the padding size. Do you now see that there is now a little bit more space between the tip of that arrow and then the top of our border right there? That's what padding does. So we're going to also add some padding at the bottom as well, because we want some space between the best SEO company and then the border. So bottom, I'm going to add 10 pixels as well. And there it is. We're going to go ahead now and hit publish. And now, since we've created a template, we need to tell Elementor where we want to display this particular template. I'm going to click on add condition. So obviously it's the header, and we're going to have a header across our entire site. So that has been chosen for us. However, if you have to click on the drop down arrow in here, you can choose like singular, for example. And then for singular, you can choose a particular kind of page. As an example, you want to display it on pages, on posts, maybe on your landing pages and so on. I will talk about this a bit later, but I'm going to go back in here to our entire site. Go ahead now, click on save and close. And there it is. So now we can click on view live site down here. And now this is our header, just like what we have over here. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So in the previous video, we successfully created the header for our website. But now we're going to go ahead to create the footer. And of course, this is what we're after. So it's a little bit more complicated than the header. Here we're going to have 3 columns. The first one will hold up some text. The second will have quick links with a footer menu. And then on the right, we'll have the Get in Touch section. So it's a bit more complicated, but I'm going to show you exactly how this works. All right, we're going to go back. We're going to go over to the back end on our website. Now, before I move on, let me just mention I have created a second menu for the footer. So you can see right here, I called it footer menu. And then I just added a custom link for terms and conditions. So you can add an extra new page and call it terms and conditions or privacy and policy or whatever you want to name it. So you can go ahead and do that. Now we're going to come down here to templates, go back to our theme builder. And now we're going to select footer. So right here, I'm going to click on footer. And then we're going to come up here and simply click on add new. And let's do this. So just like with the header, Elementor will provide you with some pre-built styles for the footer, but again, we're not interested. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. So instead of us using the container like we did previously to create our header, I'm going to come down here and click on this plus button. And now we can actually choose a pre-built design for our multiple columns. So what we're going to go for here is the one right here. Remember, we need 3 columns. And this one has 3 columns right here. So I'm going to choose that. And there it is. Now, the one in the middle by default has more width than the first and third columns. But we're going to change that. Don't worry. I'm going to come in here. Now you can see we have the button in here for the column holding our very first element right here. So I'm going to click on this container right there. And then the width, I'm actually now going to expand it all the way to 50. So automatically, you can see the second column has now shrunk in size just a little bit. So we're going to click on the second button in here for the second container. I'm going to click in there. We're going to change this one to 25 pixels. Okay. And there it is. So now the first container is 50% in width. The second is 25%. And obviously the third would be 25%. And that's exactly how we got the structure right here. So let's not waste any time. I'm going to add the very first element in our first column, and that's going to be the header about us. So we're going to choose heading right there and then drop it inside. And I'm going to change the title right here to about us. Now for the HTML tag, we're going to go a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go all the way to H5. Okay. And then we're going to change the font family. We're going to change that from default to accent for the overpass. I really do like this particular size right there. Now, ours over here is a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here where we have the pen. And then right here, we're going to change the size from 16 pixels and make it just a little bit bigger to 20 pixels. Okay. Now, if you notice, we have pretty much the same kind of header in the second column and third column. The only difference is the actual text themselves. So what I'm going to do is okay, I am going to right click on the edit heading right there, and I'm going to say copy. I've copied that. Now inside the second column, I'm going to right click and then click on paste. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the third column. And then I'll go back right here to the second heading right here, click on the pen right there, and change About Us to our quick links. Quick links. And then finally, the third column would be, I believe, contact or get in touch. All right. So get in touch. And voila. Okay, so what's next? We're going to go back to the first column in here and we're going to add this text. Let me just go ahead and grab all this text right there. Go back to our elements. And now we're going to use the text editor element right here on the basic. I'm going to drop that underneath the About Us. You can see right there the blue line appearing. Drop it in there. And now we're going to wait for the text to appear in here. Voila. And now I'm going to highlight everything and then simply paste the text that I previously copied. But you can see right here, it's quite large compared to what we have right here. So again, I'm going to go over here to Style, come down here to Typography, click on Default, and then choose Accent. So now we're going to go back to the pen right here to edit the actual size itself. So from 16, we're going to make this a little bit smaller at 14 pixels. All right. Now, next will now be the quick links. So we're going to go back in here, choose the nav menu. Okay. Click drop and then make sure we're dropping it inside of the second column right there underneath quick links. And now right here for the menu, well, mine has been chosen to be footer menu automatically, but you will have the option of choosing another kind of menu if you wanted to. So layout is not going to be horizontal, it's going to be vertical. Okay. And then what else? So we're going to go over here to the style. And what we're going to do right here is for the typography, we're going to click inside and of course choose accent again. And then for the text color, we're simply going to go with black. Okay. And then for the horizontal patterns, vertical patterns, we're going to set these ones to 0. Okay. We don't need any I'm sorry. Actually, for the vertical pattern, we do need some padding. I'm sorry. For the spacing in between them. So, but it's a bit too large by default. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the size from default to 10. Okay. So I believe 10 would just be about fine. And actually, let's make that a little bit smaller. At let's say 8. Okay. Or let's make it 7. All right. 7 pixels should be fine for the vertical padding. And there it is. Next right here would be the get in touch. So we're going to grab the email text as well as the phone text. So again, I'm going to grab this. Let's just copy all of that. Go back to our elements, drag the text editor in here, under get in touch, and now simply paste that text right there. But then we're going to need to change the font family to match those of the first and second columns, where we're using the overpass font family. So I'm going to go over here to style and then typography, click on the global icon and then choose accent. And there it is. Okay, next would be to add the social media icons, and you would find them on the general tab right here. So you can see we have social icons. I'm going to click drag and then drop the social icons just underneath the phone. Now by default, you will get Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you wanted to add more, you can click on add item right there and then simply choose for the icon you're looking for. In my case, let's say, for example, I wanted to add LinkedIn. So we have LinkedIn right there. I can now click on insert and then you'll have LinkedIn as one of your social media icons, but I'm not going to work with LinkedIn. So I'm simply going to remove it. So right here, when you click on Facebook as an example, you can add the actual link to your Facebook page right there. Same goes with Twitter and YouTube. I'm going to change the alignment to the left, and then for style we're going to change from official color to custom. Primary color in this case will now be white, so FFF, and then secondary color will be our accent color. The size, I'm going to go with 15. That would be my size, and that is it. We're almost done. If you notice though, on the footer menu right there, when we hover on the menu items, you can see they kind of move up and down, whereas ours only has this very boring underline feature. So let's try to change this. I'm going to click on edit the menu items. So here where you have animation, the pointer, we can change this one here to text. Okay. And then for the actual animation itself, you have different types, grow, shrink, sync, float. We're going with float. And that's what adds this feature to the menu item. So this is, of course, very, very subjective. You can add animation if you want to, but if you prefer to have a more formal approach without any animations, that's perfectly fine. So that is it for the footer. I'm going to go ahead now, click on publish, and then condition again, just like with the header. We're going to stick with the entire site, save and close. And that is it. If you view the live site right now, you will now see our footer down here. Now, please note that because we are viewing the footer directly, there is a slight change in the size of the social media icons. Don't let this put you off. Just simply go to the home page or any other page, and you will see the actual real footer on display. So that's it. We've successfully created our footer. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Let's go ahead now to build the contact us page, and this is what I am after. We're going to have the header saying need to get in touch. We'll have some text, and then we'll have the main form itself. So let's go back to our website. I'm going to go to edit page on the contact us page, and then click on edit with Elementor so we can open up the page again with the Elementor backend. And the very first thing I'm going to do would be to hide the page title. It's kind of redundant to have the contact us header or headline on the contact us page. So down here where we have the page settings, I'm going to go ahead now to hide the title, go back to our elements. So the first thing we'll add would be the header, which says need to get in touch, question mark, and then make some changes. HTML tag, will make that one an H3, align that to the center. Next would be the text editor. I'll just go ahead and grab this text real quick, copy, come over here, let's paste that, and there you go. Next would be the form itself. So you'll find the form in the pro section. It's the fourth element. So form, drop it right there. Now by default, Elementor will provide for you 3 fields: name, email, message. We can add additional fields. So I'll click on add item, and then right here where you have type, we can choose what we're after. I'm going to go with the telephone field, so I'll click on tel right there, and then label will say telephone. Okay, and we can also, oops, that's not how to spell telephone. We'll also use telephone for the placeholder as well. Okay, let me change the position of telephone and message. So I'll click on telephone and then move it just above message. Okay, the first thing we'll do right now is to remove the labels because we don't need labels and placeholders. So where you have label that says show, I'm going to click on hide. So we no longer have the labels showing. Now for each of your fields, if I clicked on name as an example, you can do things like change the label, the placeholder. You can also determine whether that field should be required or not. In my case, name should be required. So we'll click on yes for name. Email by default is already required. Our telephone, not necessary, it won't be required, but message definitely will be required. We can also make the message field a little bit bigger. So where you have rows down here, I'm going to go to 6. Okay, down here where you have the actions after submit, this is perhaps the most important part, because right here you can tell Elementor what you want it to do once somebody has filled out the form. Now if you click in there, by default you should see collect submissions and then email. Collect submissions, I'll show you how this works in just a moment, but then email, right here Elementor will send you an email by default. So if I want to configure how that would work, I'm going to click on email right here. By the way, for the actions, you have access to so many. You can connect the form to MailChimp, to ActiveCampaign, you can redirect and so on. So depending on what you choose in here, if I chose, let's say, ActiveCampaign as an example, now I'll have access to the ActiveCampaign configuration down here. So let me go back to actions after submit, remove ActiveCampaign. Now go to email to configure how that would work. So by default, Elementor will send your email, or rather will send the email to your primary email address associated with the website. Mine is alex@webmonkeyonline.com. a default headline that says new message from, and then the website name. You can, of course, change this if you want to. And then for the message, we'll have all fields that will be displayed. Now, right here where you have the from email, typically you would want it to be the email that the user or the person filled out in the form. So rather than using what Elementor will generate by default, what you can do is to go over back to your form fields. Now where you have email, click on email, go to advanced, and then right here you will see the short code. So copy this short code. This is exactly what we need. Copy that. Let's go back to our email, and then right here where it says from email, I'm going to go ahead now and paste the short code. So that's exactly how that would work. And then the from name, we can just simply do the exact same thing again. Go back to form fields, go to name, advanced, copy the short code, go back to our email, and then down here from name, we'll simply paste the person's name right there. And of course, reply to, by default, you can either go with the field ID email or just simply go with the email field. Either one of these two would work, but I'll just keep this as the default. And that is it. Okay. Last but not least, we do have the additional options where you can configure the custom messages. Like what should it say if the message wasn't sent properly, or if there was an error, or if the message was sent successfully. You can configure everything in here. Okay, we're almost done. We do need to customize the container containing the form, because right here you can see that it's a bit narrower and there's plenty of padding between the form, or rather between the container and the header. So let's do this. I'm going to go to edit container right there. So the first thing will be to change the width. I'm going to go down to 750 pixels, and then advanced padding. I'm going to add 50 pixels to the top and then 50 pixels to the bottom. And that's it. One last thing, by default, when you hover on the send button, it turns to this pink color. So let's change that. I don't really like how that works. I'm going to go to the edit form element, go over here to style. Okay. And then down here where you have the buttons, I'm going to click on buttons. And then right here where it says next and submit button, we can change the background color. So I can come in here and change that to accent. So we have this orange color. And then for the hover effect, we can go back in here, click on background color, and keep that on accent. So it doesn't change whenever somebody tries to press the send button. So let's go ahead now and update. And we can now view the contact us page, the brand new contact us page. And there it is. So we need to test out the form, make sure that it's working. So what I'm going to do right now is to open up a brand new page as a visitor and then try to fill out the form and see if it will work or not. All right, so as you can see right now, I've opened up the contact us page on a separate browser. So I'm going to go ahead now to fill this real quick. So I'm going to say my name is Tom Jones. My email is tomjones@yahoo.co.uk. Telephone number, okay, 896754321. Message, hello, I like SEO. All right, I'm going to go ahead now to send the message. So it says the form was sent successfully. Now, going back to my website, since Tom Jones has sent us an email or a message, I'm going to come down here to Elementor, and where you have submissions, I'm going to click in there. And now you will see we'll have Tom Jones's record for the collect submission. So that's exactly how that works. So you can see I have the name. I can view what the message is, and it says, hello, I like SEO. And of course, you can see the name, email, and of course, telephone number of Tom Jones. And also with my email, you can see that's my email account right here. I did get the message from Tom Jones with his telephone number, email, and of course the message saying, hello, I like SEO. So you can see right now that the contact form is working as it should. Now, to conclude, I just want to ask you if there is something we can do to improve the way the footer interacts with the actual content of each of our pages. Now, on the Contact Us page, you can see we have the form and then the footer, but there doesn't seem to be any sort of indication that this is the footer and this is the content area. There needs to be something like maybe a different background color or a border, just something to separate the footer from the content area. Now, let me show you what I did on the test site. Tell me which one is better, what we currently have right now, and then this. Do you see almost immediately that just by having this little border up here, it makes so much more of a difference in how the page looks like. So let me show you how you can add such a border just above your footer. So we're going to go ahead now, where you have edit with Elementor, I'm going to go straight to Elementor footer. Okay, now we're not actually going to add a border. It's going to be a divider element that we're going to work with. And the divider is right here. You have basic, you have divider. So what I will do is I'm going to click and drag it into a new container, and then we'll move this container just above the footer, and there it is. So I'm going to click on the edit a divider button right there and make some changes. So we have the width alignment all set, no need to change anything in there. I'm going to come down here to style. Our weight would be just how thick you want the divider to be. So you can make it really thick if you wanted to, but I'm just going to stick with one. One is just fine. And then the gap, we'll extend this one up to 30. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead now to update. And now let us view the brand new footer. Let's go to the home page. Actually, let's go to the Contact Us page. And there it is, looking much better than how it did just a few minutes ago. So that's it for the Contact Us page. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next class. The next page we're going to build out will be the blog page, and this is what I'm after. Something very simple. We'll have the blog title on top, and then we'll have the posts displayed beneath it. So let's go ahead now, click on edit page. And of course, click on edit with Elementor. And just like with the contact page, we're going to hide the page title. So down here for page settings, let's go ahead to hide the title. Go back to our element. So the first thing we'll add would be the header that simply says blog. Make that an H3, align to the center. Let's go to the container itself and add some padding. So let's make it 50 pixels on top and then 50 pixels at the bottom, just like with the Contact Us page. Go back to our elements. Now to display the posts, we do have an element called posts under Pro. So I'll click drag posts underneath the blog, and there it is. So we do have three different types of skins. We have classic, you have cards, and then you also have the full content, which is kind of odd because on a blog page, you don't expect to see all the content of each post being displayed. So I'll just go back to classic. And then for the columns, we can choose up to 6 if we wanted to, but 6 is kind of a bit too much. Typically, I would rather go with either 2 or 3, but I'm going to go with 3 in this case. And then posts per page, you can determine how many posts to be displayed at once. The default is set to 6 and we have 6 posts, so that works. But of course, you can extend this to 9, 12, or as many as you want. We can modify the image position, turn on the masonry style if you wanted to. And then right here for the image size, in order to prevent them from looking blurry, change the image size from medium to full. Okay, now you'll see the image quality looking much better than before. You can see right now it looks a lot crispier. Okay, we can do things like change the image ratio, the image width, and so on. We can modify whether or not we want to display the title, the metadata right here. You can click inside and add things like the number of comments, the time the post was published, and so on. But I think date and comments is enough. All right, so we'll keep that. And then of course the read more, we can modify the text to maybe click to read more, or any other kind of text you want to modify to. And then right here you have query, very interesting. So by default, since we're displaying post, the source has been set to posts. But if you have other kinds of custom post types, or maybe, I don't know, courses, recipes, or whatever it is you're working with on your site, this is where you'll be able to choose them. So I'm going to stick with posts, okay? But then we can also do things like include by, and then we can go with like term as an example. And then the term, we can go with, let's say, the category. We can search by categories. Since I only have one category, which is the default uncategorized, that's what Elementor is going to display for me. But if you have posts from different kinds of categories and you wanted to display posts for a particular category, you would simply come in here, type in cat or catty, and then Elementor will pull out all the categories you have, and then simply choose that category of posts that you wanted to display. Okay, let's come down here to style. The only thing I'm going to change would be the colors of the title and then the read more text. So let's come down here to content. So title, of course, we're going to change the color down here to the accent color. And then for the read more, right here, change the color as well to accent. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now to update the page. And let us view our brand new blog page. And there it is, our brand new blog page. All right. So in the very next video, I'm going to show you how we can create a template for our single posts. I'll see you then. Welcome back. In the previous video, we successfully created the blog page. However, we do need to create a template for our single post, because if I was to view one of the posts right now, you would see that it's really not that great. All we have is the title of the post, we have the post content, and then the comments section. That's all. In contrast, check out what we have in the test site. This is looking much better. We do have the title, the post information, the featured image of the post content. We have the social media share icons, the comment section, and then the post navigation area down here as well. So 7 different elements are in use in here. So we need to create a template for our single post. And to do that, of course, we're going to go to the back end, and then we're going to come down here to templates, go to theme builder as usual. And just like with header and footer, we're going to click on single post right there, click on add new. We're of course not going to be interested in any of the pre-built templates, which we will see in just a second. You can see them all right here. Really nice templates actually. I'm going to close them. So because we're working with a single template, Elementor will provide for us different elements that we can use in this kind of template. That's why we now have our post title, post content, featured image, and so on. So let's start with the post title right now. So I'll drop post title right there, and we're going to make it an H2 align to the center. Next would be the post info. So I'll click and drag, drop that right there. We're also going to align it to the center. So alignment, center. Now for the actual content itself, we don't need the time the post was published. So I'm just going to remove our time. So we'll just stick with the author, date, and then comments. Next would be the featured image. So I'll drop that right there. And before we move on, actually, let's change the color of the post info from pink to accent color. So let me go back to the post info, go to style, and then where you have the icon, we're going to change this one right now to accent. And then for the text, we'll change that one to accent as well. Okay, so going back now to our featured image, I'm going to change the image size from large to full. And that's pretty much that for the image. Let's continue. I'm going to add the post content next. That will be the post content. And then at the bottom, we're going to add the social share icons, which you'll find in your post section. It's right here, share buttons. So click, drag, drop that in there. So we have Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn by default. But I'm going to add one more for Reddit. So I'm going to click on add item. And then where we have network, I'm going to go with Reddit. Okay. And then for the view, let's only view the icons. We'll make the shape a circle. And there it is. Next will be the comments section. So let's go back to single. We have the post comments. So let's drop that right there. Now, I know that the post comment box right here is all in pink. I'll show you how to change that to the accent color in just a moment, because you'll notice that if you try editing the post comments element, we only have content and advanced. We don't have the style section. So I'll show you how to fix that in just a moment. But let's go back in here and add the last element, which is going to be our post navigation. Drop that in there. Now this is also in pink, but we're going to go over here to style. For the color, of course, we'll change down to accent, and then we'll go to title, also change the color to accent there as well. And there it is. Okay, now to go back to the post comments box right here, to change this to the indigo, I'm sorry, to the accent color, what you can do is to actually go back to your site settings. Okay, and then you're going to scroll all the way down here to where you have the theme style. Now you have buttons in here. I'm going to click on buttons, and this is where we can now add the colors that we want to use with them. So background type, we're going to go with classic. Okay, and then color, we'll choose the accent color right there. And then also for the text color, we'll change that one to actually, let's go with white. Okay, so FFF, FFF. And then you will notice that we still have this rather annoying pink border there as well. So you can just go with border type, go with solid. Okay, and then right here where you have the color, just choose the accent color, and that is it. But please be aware that this would affect all the buttons on your site. If you wanted to add this kind of styling specifically for this post comment button, you could use CSS to make that change. So I'm going to go ahead now and update the site settings. Now I'm going to go back to our editor, and there it is. One last thing would be to add some padding for the container holding up our post content. So let's go to edit container right here, come down here to advanced, unlink the values for padding, and of course we're going to be consistent with our 50 pixels on top and then 50 pixels at the bottom. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and hit publish. Now we're going to add a condition. Now look at this. Okay, by default it says all singular, but this would also include single pages as well. We only want to target posts specifically. Okay, so I'm going to click on the drop down arrow in here and then choose posts right here on the post, and of course all posts. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now, save and close. And that is it. Let's go ahead now, view our live site. Let's go back to blog. Let's choose any other post. Let's choose the best WordPress SEO plugins. And there it is right there. The title, post info, featured image, post content, social share icons, comment section, and of course the post navigation area down here. So that's how to create a post template, or rather a template for the single post. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So now let's begin to build out the home page, and the very first section we're going to build out will be the main banner here that will have the gentleman on the right looking at his laptop, and of course on the left we'll have the main headline, grow your website, traffic, online leads and sales. We'll have some text, and we'll have a button as well, and of course we'll also have the black background to match the black background of our header. So let's go ahead now and begin to do the editing. I'm going to go to edit with Elementor, and just like with the other pages, the very first thing we'll do would be to hide the page title. So let's come down here to page settings, and of course hide title, go to our elements. So now we're going to create a container with 2 columns. So click on plus right there, choose this one. And for the very first column, we're going to have multiple elements. So we'll have the main headline right here, grow your website, traffic, online leads and sales. Let me copy that. I'm going to drag the heading element in there. Let's go ahead now to paste the text. And then for the actual size, we're going to need to make it a lot bigger. So I'm going to come down here to style. Let's go to typography and let me just check my notes. I have 65 pixels. 65 pixels. There you go. Okay, and then we're going to add the text here as well. Let me just grab this dummy text. Let's go back. Text editor. Drop it right there. And now, let me just go ahead and remove the first dummy text, paste the next dummy text. And then next will be the button, which I'm going to drop right there. Now, I know on the test site here, it says click here, but then let's change ours to, let's say, learn more. Okay, learn more. And then for the actual link, this could go to like the services page, the contact page, and so on, but we'll just leave the link blank here. Now on the right, we're going to add our image element. So let me go ahead and grab that one, drop it right there. And of course, the image is going to be our gentleman. Let's call him Sam. So we're going to insert Sam right there. And we're going to make the image size full. Okay. A few things we need to change. Obviously, the very first thing would be the black background for the container. So let's go ahead to edit the container right there. Okay. Now, actually here for the content width, we're going to make it go full width. Okay, full width. That's the first thing we'll do. And then for the style, we're going to come down here to background type. Classic color is going to be black. And just like that, the text that we have that was originally in black is now, well, we can't see that anymore. So what we're going to do is we'll have to make the text white, which brings me to a few changes we need to make to our global colors. Now, I know initially we set the H1s and the H2s to have the same accent color, but after further revision, I have decided to change it back to simply white. Okay, I think white would make a lot more sense. So what we're going to do here is this, okay? Let's go to the site settings. And the first thing we'll do is to go to global colors. Now, the text for the color right here, the 7A, 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 we're not making use of that color. So let's go ahead and simply change this to the white color. Okay, we're going to make more use with white. So 6Fs for the white. And then let's go back to the typography. All right. Now, right here where you have the H1s and the H2s, we'll change that back to black. Okay, so click in there. We'll choose black for the H1. And then for the H2, we'll also choose black as well. I know we can't see anything for the text and the headline, but we'll change those to white, no problem. Let's just go ahead now, update that. And there you go. All right, I'm going to close this. Now, let's go back to the header right here. Okay, we're going to go over to the text color. And then we'll choose text color for that one. And then for the text editor too, come down here to style, go to the text color, and then we'll choose text for the color white. All right, let's go ahead now and update. And let's take a look at what we have. Let's view the page. Oops, let's refresh. And there you go. Okay, now we're gonna have to add some padding to push the text on the left and the very first column a bit further away. You can see right here, it's much further to the right. Also, we need to align our elements right there in the middle of the page. You can see here you have the text right up there next to the logo. So need to make that change as well. So let's do this. I'm going to go back to the container right here. Okay. And then for the layout, I'm going to come down here to items. So where you have align items, we're going to come in here. We can align to the center. Okay. That's the first thing. And then next will now be to add our paddings. So I'm going to come down here to advanced for the padding, unlink the values. So what I have here would be 50 pixels at the top. Okay. And then for the left, we have 85 pixels, not 850. That's insane. 85 pixels. Let's go ahead now, update. And let's see the new change. Hopefully this will look much better. Refresh the page. And there you go. That is the main banner. Grow your website traffic, online leads and sales. We have the text, the button, and of course Sam looking at his laptop. So that's the very first section built out. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Welcome back. So moving on to section number 2, we have a very simple design in here. It's also going to be 2 columns in the container. The very first column will have 3 elements: the headline about SEO experts, we'll have a divider, and then the text editor. And then on the right, we'll have this simple message, or rather, simple image rather, showing prospective customers or clients that, hey, if you work with SEO experts, your SEO will go through the roof, as you can see. Okay, let's go back to our main website. I'm going to come down in here, click to create our 2-column container. So the first column will have the headline about SEO experts. Okay. And then we'll have the divider, which I'm going to drag and drop right there. Now for the width, we're going to make this just a little bit wide, about 57. Let's make it 55. All right. Actually, let's make it 57. All right. Then style. We're going to come down here to color, make that the accent color. Then for the gap, we don't need any gap, so we'll just put out to the minimum, which is actually 2. And then next will be the text editor. Let me go ahead and grab all this dummy text right there. Go back in here to the text editor, drop that just beneath the divider right there. Let's remove the first dummy text, paste the new dummy text. And there it is. All right, so for the second column, very, very easy. Image element right there. Choose our image, and it's the one right there. Insert the media, make the file size full. And what we'll have to do right now would be to add some padding to the main container, so we have some space between the first column and the second column. So we're going to go over to Edit Container, go to Advanced, and then for the padding, we'll stick with 50 pixels on top, 50 pixels at the bottom. Okay, let's go ahead now, update. And let's take a look at our page. View the page. Let's scroll down. Oops, I need to refresh the page one more time. My Google Chrome browser seems to be very enthusiastic about caching the website. So if you're having this kind of issues as well, just make sure you do a hard refresh or clear your cache. Okay. And there it is. Okay, section number 2 all done. Join me in the next video where we'll now go ahead to build out the Our Services section. I will see you then. Welcome back to section number 3 on our homepage, where we're going to build out the Our Services section, which is of course a very pretty standard section that you would find on any business website. Now, the structure here is a little bit more complicated than sections number 1 and number 2, where all we needed were just 2 columns. Here we have, you could argue we have 5 columns, or 5 rows actually, because the very first row would have the services, second row would have the divider, and then third and fourth rows will be for the actual services that we have. And then fifth row will have the View Our Services button. However, the challenge with this is that you just can't begin adding rows just for fun on the page. We'll have to think about this very strategically. So the best way we could go about doing this would be, let me just show you. Let's come down here. All right. What we're actually going to do right now would be to simply add a container, the very first main container in here. So it's going to be this, all right, the direction column. Because if you notice, the elements are all pointing downwards, like, you know, services on top, next is the divider, and so on. So let's go back in here. I'm going to choose the very first container right here with the downwards direction. And then the first thing we'll add will be the header, okay? And of course, this says Our Services. Let me just go ahead and grab Our Services, go back in here, and just paste that. We'll align it to the middle. Next would be the divider. Once again, add that one. Let's align it to the center. And then for the width, Let's just make it about, let's say 30 or 27, 25 pixels or 25%. All right, style, accent color, and then again the gap, let's just reduce that to 2. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add a container inside of our primary container. There is no other way to achieve this kind of structure, right? So take a look at this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now, add a container just underneath the divider. Okay, now you're going to love this. All right, we need 3 columns inside of this container. Now, how are we going to do that? Just watch. All right, the first element we're going to be dealing with here is what we call the icon box element. So let me go back in here to our elements. All right, I'm going to scroll down. You'll find the icon box under general, and it's the second element right there, icon box. Let me go ahead and drop that in here. So what we'll simply do right now is let's just configure the very first icon box with the actual words. So what I'll do here is let me just grab the title, keyword optimization. Okay, let me just copy that one, come down here to title and description. Let's paste that, keyword optimization. And then for the icon, let's look for our word. All right, I'm going to go with the file word right there, icon, insert. And then let's go ahead and do all the necessary styling. So the style right here, we're going to make the primary color, of course, the accent color for the main icon. And then for the actual keywords themselves, the title, we'll make that one an H4. So going back to content, down here where you have the title HTML tag, we'll make that one an H4. So it's not too big. And then let's go back to the style. If you notice, each of the columns right here holding the services have like a box shadow just behind them. You can see it has this very, very nice kind of design right there. So to achieve that, I'm going to go over here to advanced. Okay. And then we're going to come down here where you have border. We're not going to add any border at all. Instead, we're going to come down here to the box shadow. Let's go ahead to edit that. So the values I have in here would be 0.5. Okay, and then the blur would be 20 to make it a bit blurry. And then the spread, just to spread it around evenly, we're going to keep that one on 0. No need to change that. And there it is. Okay, now, next thing would be the padding around. Okay, we're going to add some padding around. So let's go over to layout. And then in this case right now, we're going to add 20 pixels on all 4 sides. So no need to unchain the values. And there it is. So the very first column holding the icon box is ready. What I will do right now, take a look at this, is to simply right click where you have the keyword optimization. I'm going to right click, duplicate, and then duplicate one more time. Now we have the 3 columns, but they're all pointing downwards. We want them to go side by side. We want columns and not rows. How do we change that? I'm going to come down here to the secondary container holding these 3 icon boxes. Let's go there. And then on the layout where you have items, I am going to come in here right now and change them to that of a row. And there it is. And then to achieve the second row holding the icon boxes, I'm simply going to right click right there and then duplicate. And there it is. That's how to work very, very smart and efficiently when it comes to Elementor. So what I'll do right now is I'll pause the video and then I'll simply change the services to web design, e-commerce SEO, and so on. I'll of course also change the icons as well. Welcome back, and as you can see, I've added the other 5 services: search optimization, management services, e-commerce SEO, web design, and link building services. We do everything at SEOexperts.com. Okay, finally we'll have to add the button that says view our services. And this brings me to a very interesting point when it comes to working with Elementor. Now, ideally, we should just be able to drag the button element right there and then just drop it at the bottom, right? But we cannot do that when working with Elementor, especially when you're working with containers. What you can do is to drop your element somewhere at the top. Okay, it can be the last element. So I'll drop it just above the container holding the services. So we have the button right here. And then what we can now do is to now simply drag the containers holding our services above the button. So I'm going to move the first row right here, the first container, move that one above the button, and then move the second container above our button. And there it is. Now we have the button at the bottom. Very, very interesting, but I thought you should know that. Okay, so let's just go ahead now to style the button. Click here would be view our services in capital letters, and then we'll just align that to the center. And of course, here we can just add the link to services. And there it is. Let's go ahead now to update. And let's view our homepage, view the page. And there it is, our services. One final thing you may have noticed, we need some space. All right, we need some space between section number 2 and section number 3. So we're going to go back in here, go to the main container right here, services, go to advanced, and of course we'll have the padding 50 pixels from the top, and of course 50 pixels at the bottom. So we're going to keep 50 pixels very, very consistent throughout building this website. Let's go back to update. And one more time, let's do a hard refresh on the home page. And there it is. Okay, so we successfully built out the our services page. Join me in the next video where we'll now go ahead to build out section number 4, which would be from the blog. I'll see you then. Welcome back. So section number 4 from the blog, we're just going to pull in the 3 latest posts. We'll have, of course, the button that says visit the blog as well. So a very, very simple structure. Let's go ahead now to build it. So I'm going to come down here. And of course, I'm going to add the header right there. And we'll say from the blog. Align to the center. And of course, we'll add our favorite divider as well. We're going to change the color to accent. And then the gap again will just be 2. And then for the actual width, let's see, how wide do we want to make it? Not too wide. I think that's just fine. 25%. All right. Next will now be the actual posts themselves. So we're going to go down here to Pro, drag the posts element underneath the divider, just right there. All right. Now, a few things to change. Posts per page, we only want to display 3 posts, so we'll make that one 3. And then image size, make that one full, so the images aren't blurred. And then let's hide the metadata. So where you have metadata right here, I'm just going to close date, close comments. And of course, also the read more, we're going to hide that. So let's look for the read more. It's right here, but not showing it. So I'll just go ahead now and hide. And then we're almost there. All we have to do is to change the color of the links to the post. So we'll come down here to style. And then where you have content, we'll go right there. And we're looking for the title. So the color right here will now be accent. Last thing will now be to add the visit the blog. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add the button, drop it right there. And then the text will say, visit the blog. And of course, we can just add the link right here to blog, align to the center. Last but not least, of course, will be our good old padding. Edit container, go to advanced, unlink the values, 50 pixels on top, 50 pixels at the bottom. And there it is. Let's go ahead now, update. And as usual, we're going to view the page to make sure we did a good job. Let's scroll down. And there it is. Okay, section number 4, all done. So join me in the next video where we'll now take a look at section number 5, where we'll build out the Our Partners section. I will see you then. Let's now move on to the partners section, which is also a very popular section on any business website. You want to prove to your prospective clients and customers that you've worked with a lot of very reputable brands. And in our case, we've worked with very popular companies such as PhotoFit, NetSync, Mobile Line, Hyperarchitect, Grosserish. Well, I have no idea what these companies are, even if they exist. I don't know. I only saw the images for free on the internet and I grabbed them. All right, let's go ahead and build out the section. Very straightforward yet again. We'll have the headline, our partners, our good old divider, some text, and then we'll use the carousel element to display these elements. So let's go back in here, scroll all the way down here. Then of course, heading as usual. And title would be our partners. Our partners. Okay, now align to the center as well. We'll add the divider once again. Style, column, accent, color, gap 2. Content wise, alignment to the center. This is going to be very narrow. I think 20% should be fine. Next would be the text editor. Let me just grab this text right there. Go back in here, text editor, drop it right there, and let's go ahead and paste our text. Okay, now we want to make it aligned to the center as well. So what we can simply do is to come down here to style, and then alignment, we'll make that one in the center right there. And now for the carousel element, you can see we have the logos of all these companies and they're moving in a carousel from left to right. So I'm going to go in here, go to our elements. Now what we're looking for is the media carousel element, which you'll find in your pro section. It's the one right here, media carousel. So I'm going to click drag, drop that in there. And now what we'll have to do is to add the actual images themselves, the logos. So item number 1, I'm going to click inside, click in here to choose the image. So it's going to be this one right there. Let's insert that. Now I'll pause the video and go ahead to do items number 2, 3, 4, and 5, as well as number 6 and 7. And then I'll resume the video once I've added all the logos. Welcome back. And as you can see, I've added the 6 all the logos. So now let's go ahead to style them out. Now for the skin, you do have the option of like a slideshow, which would make the logos a lot bigger, but then you have this very interesting feature where you now have the other logos being displayed beneath. You have the cover flow as well, which can be interesting, but I just prefer the simple carousel skin, so we'll keep that. Now down here, you can add links as well. If you want to link each logo, you can link them to media file or a custom URL. For the effect, we'll keep that one on the slide. Now, slides per view, we're going to go with 5 slides. So each time, we'll see 5 slides at a time. And then how many slides to scroll from left to, or rather from right to left, would be 2. Okay. Now, for the height, you can see the images are very, very blurred. So we need to make the height and the width of the carousel a bit smaller to ensure that the images aren't being stretched to accommodate the entire carousel. So for the height, we'll make this one just 100 pixels. Okay. And then for the width would be 75%. So now you can see the images are a lot clearer now than what they were initially. And then down here you have the additional options. What it will do right now is we're going to remove the buttons, right? You can see the arrows right there, or left to right. We don't need those. So I'll go ahead and hide the arrows. And then last but not least, down here where you have lazy load, we'll turn that on to ensure that our page loads as quickly as possible. And that is pretty much it. Let's go ahead now and update the page. Now I know that you must have noticed that right here we do have kind of like this background color, like it looks like kind of like a cone or like a pyramid sort of. I'll show you how you can add this particular design a bit later, but join me in the very next video where we'll take a look at the next section, which will now be the testimonials section. I'll see you then. Welcome back. So now let's build out the testimonials section, which is of course another very popular section you would find on any business website. We're going to title it From Happy Clients. So let me just go ahead and grab this. Let's go back in here, add our header to a brand new container, add the title From Happy Clients, align to the center, and we'll add the good old divider as well. Align it to the center. Width would be about 35%. That's fine. Style, color, accent, gap 2. All right. Now we're going to add a container because you can see we have one in here with 3 columns, each holding a testimonial. So we're going to add the container right there, just beneath the divider. And what we'll do here is we'll add the very first column for our testimonial, which you would find in general. Now under Pro, you do have another testimonial element, which is the testimonial carousel, is the one right here. But we're going to use that one. We're going to use a different one. And that one you will find under general. It's the one right here, testimonial. Click and drag, drop that one in there. I'm going to choose the very first image for Jane. We're going to call her Jane Doe. Okay, so Jane Doe. She's a designer. We can add a link to her website if you want to, but we're not going to do that. Let's come down here to style. What we'll do right here is we're going to change the typography and make it just a little bit smaller so it's not too big. 16 pixels is just about right. And there it is. Now, what we'll do is, of course, I'm going to duplicate this testimonial. So I'll duplicate the testimonial, duplicate it one more time. So we have 3. And then, of course, I'm going to go right here to now edit the actual container itself. I'm going to come down here to items, and then we're going to change that one to the row. And there it is. All right, let's go over to the main primary container. Let's add the traditional 50 pixels padding on top, 50 pixels padding at the bottom. What I'll do right now is I'll pause the video and just simply change the name and the featured image as well as the title of the second and third testimonials. Welcome back, and as you can see, I've added the other 2 set testimonials, John Smith, who is a CEO, and Benjamin Douglas, who is an architect. Okay, we can go ahead now to updates, and we'll just view the page. And now I'm gonna scroll all the way down here, and there it is, From Happy Clients. Okay, now, like I mentioned in the previous video, right here on the test site, you'll notice that we have this kind of fancy design where we have like, you know, this cone. I honestly don't even know how to describe this, but you can see it has like a slight shade of gray, and it adds a little bit to the design of the page. So this is entirely optional. If you want to do it, let me show you how to do so. If you don't like the design, you can of course skip this part. But if you're interested, let me show you how it's done. What you want to do is you want to go to the very first section up here holding the partners, okay? We're going to go in there. We're going to go down here to advanced. I'm sorry, not advanced, but style. I'm sorry, style. And then right here you have what we call the shape divider. Click in there. Now we're going to switch from top to bottom because we want to add the shape to the bottom of the page. And then the type of shape is going to be the tilt. There are so many out here. You can experiment with them if you want to, but we're looking for tilt. All right. Now the color here is actually a very interesting color. It's going to be the F, A, and then F8, F8. That's the shade we want. Okay. And then next is going to be the height. We're going to go all the way to 500 pixels. And now we're going to flip it to the right hand side. So now you can see we have that shade right there. Now we're going to come down to the second section holding the client's testimonials, and we'll just do the reverse. So I'll go to edit container, go to style, shape divider, and now we're going to keep it at the top right here. We're not going to the bottom, it's at the top. We're going to keep it on tilt, and then the same color once again. So hashtag F, and then A, and then F8, F8. And then what we're going to do is the height, set that one to 500 pixels. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead now and simply update. And let's take a look at what we have. Let's do a hard refresh on the browser. And there you go. So that's how you can work with the shape divider if you wanted to. Thank you so much for watching the video. Join me in the next one where we'll now add the project. Let's talk the contact us section. I'll see you then. Welcome back to the final section, which is going to be the contact us section. And it's going to be 2 columns. We'll have the Got Project Let's Talk text and then button on the left hand side. And then on the right, the animation has ended. Let me just refresh the page so you can see the animation. We're going to have this lovely animation right here on the right. And this is going to be from the Lottie files. Okay, Lottie Animations. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's go back to our main site and let's add our 2 columns right here, 2 column structure. So for the very first column, we're going to have the main header, which says got a project. Let me just grab that one real quick. Let's add that. Okay, and then we'll have the text right here. We're not adding any dividers, so no need for that. We'll just add a text editor. And then we'll just add the button right here. And then the text would be contact us, and then link can point to the contact page, and there it is. All right, for the Lottie animation, you want to go to lottiefiles.com. You'll have to create an account with them. It's free. There are some animations that you can pay for, but there are a lot that are actually free. So once you've opened the site and you've logged in, just search for contact right here on the animations, and the one we want is this one right here by Hakeem Al-Mandri. Really nice. I'm going to click inside, and what I will do, very simple, is come right here where you have download. I'm going to click in there, and we're going to download the Lottie JSON file. All right, there it is. Now to add this to our site, what I'm going to do is, let's come in here. We're going to look for the Lottie element, which you would find in your pro section, is the one down here next to templates. So I'm going to drag Lottie, drop it in there, and then for the actual JSON file, I'm going to click inside in here. You will see this message from Elementor saying, hey, would you like to enable unfiltered file uploads? This is a security precaution. Elementor traditionally would only allow you to upload files of recognized formats like JPEG, MP4, PNG, and so on. But since this is a .json file, we need to tell Elementor that it's okay. So we'll go ahead now and click on enable, and then I'll just click and drag the JSON file in there, and of course insert that into the media, and there it is. Okay, 2 more things. Let's add the good old padding, 50 pixels on top, 50 pixels at the bottom, and then we can also align our content in the middle. So we'll go to layout, items, and then we're going to align items right there at the center. And there it is. Let's go ahead now, update. And then we're going to go ahead now to view the page. Scroll all the way down here. And that is it. We have successfully built out the home page, starting from the banner, about us section, our services, the blog, partners, testimonials, and of course the contact us section. Thanks so much for watching, and of course I will see you in the next class. Now that we've built the home page, the only page left for us to build would be the services page. However, I'm not gonna build the entire page. I'll leave that to you as an assignment. However, I want to use this opportunity to show you a couple of really cool things with Elementor. Let's go to the back end, and let's first of all make use of one of the pre-built templates. Let me show you how that works. Let's come down here to templates. Let's go to theme builder. And since we're building the services page, or we want to build the services page, I'm going to choose the single page template. So right here, single page. Let's click in there, add new. Now let's take a look at the pre-built templates in here where you have single page. I'm going to click on the drop down arrow right there and then choose services. All right. So these are the different pre-built templates. You can see different designs. We have those with the white background, some with the black background, but the one I'm going to choose right here would be this one. All right. So I'm going to go ahead now, insert. And there it is. All right. So this again is a very interesting design. We do have 2 columns, And one has the services title, and then of course the main headline. We use unique custom build tools to give us the edge, has some text. And then on the right, this is an element we haven't actually used. It's the, let me show you, it's the edit, it's the toggle element. So the way this works here basically is that you can add as many items as you want. And then when you click on the items, you'll have the option of adding the title, and then the text here would be what will be shown when the title is clicked on. So as an example, branch strategy, when I click on branch strategy right here, you can see the text that pops out. So that's how the toggle element works. But why exactly am I showing you all of this? Well, there is a very good chance that when you try importing templates onto your page, you might have this option where you can actually transform the sections and columns in here into a container. What am I talking about? Up here, if I was to click on edit section, note that sections and columns, this is the old way of creating structures on your Elementor page. The new way right now is to use containers, which we have been using throughout this course. However, like I said, there's a very good chance that while you're watching this video, our columns and sections might still be in use. So if you want to convert them to containers, and by the way, you might have this question, why would you want to convert your sections and columns to containers? Why are containers better? Containers are better because they use less code, which means that your page would actually load faster. That's why containers are generally better. Plus with containers, you have more flexibility when it comes to how you want to design your structure. So you're going to see this button right here on the layer that says convert to container. You can just go ahead now, click on convert. And what this will do is that it will go ahead and then copy and duplicate the entire section up here, but now convert them to containers. So up here, you can see it says edit section, but then down here right now, when I hover right here, it now says edit container. So all these you're seeing right now have now been transformed from sections and columns into containers, all right? So I can simply go ahead now and close the first one and then simply have the new one with the containers. And then from here, I can begin to edit the content in here. I can click on the edit element right here, change the header in here into something else. And that's basically how I can create my own services page very, very quickly. Let me go ahead and hit publish. So right now, since we're building out a page template, it says pages, and then right here it says all. Well, we don't want to display this on all our pages. So what I'll do is I'm going to click on the all, and then you see this drop down box right here. I'm going to type in the page that I want to display this particular template on. So I'm going to choose services right there, and then save and close. And there it is. So I'm going to go ahead now to view the page. Let's just click on services up here in the menu, and there it is. So here we have our services page. One more thing I want to show you, really, really cool, is how to make use of global widgets. If I was to go back to my home page, you see right here where we have the our services section. What if I wanted to use this exact same design, the exact same content on my services page? I don't want to have to recreate the entire section or the entire container all over again. What I can do is I can simply save this entire container or section and then just simply paste it in the services page. Now, how would I do that? Let's go ahead to edit the home page first with Elementor. So what will happen right now is this, all right? Let's scroll all the way down here to where you have the services. I'm going to choose the container right here. You see, this is the main container holding everything in the services section. Let's right click. And now you can see it says save as template. I'm going to go ahead now, click on save as template. And now we can just simply call this one the services section. I'm going to save that. And now it's going to be under my templates. But check this out, okay? If I want to use this same section right now on my services page, let's now go to the services page itself. All right, so let's go to services. Now I'm going to come down here to edit with Elementor. All right, so you're going to see Elementor single page right here. Let's click in there. And now to insert the template, we'll make use of the template element. You'll find that in your pro section, and it's the one right down here. All right, just right next to Lottie. So I'm going to drag template element right here, drop it into a new container. And now from here, we have the drop down. I can then search for services section, and there it is. I can go ahead now, paste that, and there it is. I can now go ahead to update, and there it is. And of course, if I need to edit anything in here, I can simply click on edit template, and that will take us to a brand new page where we can now modify the content on the services template. One last thing I want to show you before I round up is also how to make use of global widgets. If I wanted to make use of this exact element, the Lottie element, I wanted to make use of this on another page, I could save this particular element as a global widget. What I can do is I can simply right click on the pen right there on the element itself, and then here you will see save as a global. I'll click in there, and then I can call this one Lottie contact. All right, I can save that. Now, if I want to use this element on another page, let me just go ahead, view the page. First of all, let's leave the page. So if I wanted to use this on the contact us page as an example, I'll go ahead to edit with Elementor. And then right here, what I can do is I can click on global, right next to elements, click on global. And then right here, you can see we have the Lottie contact. Simply click drag and then drop it inside. And what I can do is I can choose to edit the global widget. Note that whenever you're editing a global widget, it will affect all the pages and all the posts or wherever you have that same widget on. So basically, it's kind of like you edit the widget in one place and it will affect that same widget in other places where you're using the widget. So hence the term global widget. But I don't need to edit it. So I'm simply going to click on link, and there it is. So now that I've unlinked this global widget, I can now make whatever changes I want to make specifically on this widget, and it won't affect other pages like the homepage where the global widget is being used on. So that's it for the services page, for templates, and also for global widgets. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. No course on web design would be complete without talking about responsive design. Now with Elementor, by default, many of the elements have already been built to accommodate screens of different sizes. But I want to show you a few tricks on how to modify your site so that it will look good on tablets, mobile phones, and so on. All right, I'm going to use the home page as a sample. Let's go over to edit with Elementor. And like I showed you at the beginning of the course, with Elementor, you have the responsive mode where you can take a look at how your site will be viewed on a tablet and on a mobile device. So down here, this is the responsive mode. I can click in there and let's choose tablet first. All right. So with tablet, the header looks just fine right here. You can click to expand the menu. That's perfectly fine. We can scroll down, but you will begin to notice that the content area, like the About SEO Experts container, there is no padding on the left. You can see right now that our content is right there on the edge. Same goes with our services on the right as well, from the blog and so on. So what we can do is there are numerous ways of achieving the same result, but let me just show you one of the easier ways to go about this. I can simply click on edit container right here, and then I can go over to advanced. Now, because we are viewing this on a tablet, you'll notice the symbol right here, the icon has now switched to tablet. What that means is that whatever values we add for the margins, patterns, and so on will only affect the container when it's viewed on a tablet device and maybe even on a mobile device as well. So for padding right here, we can just add 20 pixels all around, and now you see that solves the issue. I can come in here right now, do the exact same thing for services as well. Just come in here, add 20 pixels, and there it is. I can do the exact same thing for the other sections as well. Now I want to show you something else. There are times when you may want to hide certain elements when they're viewed on very small screen sizes. As an example, if I was to switch here from the tablet to mobile, now you will see we have this rather awkward banner where you have the main text right there, and then right here we have the button, but then below them we have our Sam with his laptop. So what if we wanted to hide Sam when viewed on a mobile device? It's very, very simple. You simply go to the container holding the element you want to hide, and then from here we're going to go over to advanced. You'll come down here, you'll see the responsive section, you click in there, and now here we have the visibility feature. We can choose to hide this particular container holding our element on mobile. I can come in here right now and simply tick hide, and there it is. Now I know you can still see it here on the Elementor backend, but trust me, when you view the page on a mobile device, you will no longer see the element that you have hidden. Now, going back to tablet, let's scroll all the way down here to the footer because I want to show you something very interesting. Right here, you will see the footer menu has changed to the hamburger menu, just like we have in the header. Now, while in the header, it looks perfectly fine, for the footer, it looks kind of awkward. We don't need to hide or transform the main menu into a hamburger menu when it's viewed on a tablet. So what we can do is this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now to edit the footer. All right, let me just save my changes. Let's go ahead to edit the footer. And what we'll do is that we'll simply tell Elementor to not change the main menu into a hamburger menu when it's viewed on a tablet. To do that, I'm going to click on the edit menu button right there. Now, right here where you have the mobile breakdown breakpoint, change this from tablet to mobile. All right, so this will now only transform to the hamburger menu when it's viewed on a mobile device. So if I switch now from tablet to mobile and I scroll all the way down here, now you'll see that the menu has now transformed into the hamburger menu. So I know the footer looks bad in here as well because there are no paddings, but again, you can do the exact same thing we've been doing. Just go to edit container, go over to advanced, and just add 20 pixels around or how much padding you want, and then you can see it's so much better. So that's basically a crash course on Elementor responsiveness. I have done other tutorials before on how to make your site responsive when working with Elementor. Be sure to check them out if you want more information about that. But thank you for watching. I will see you in the next class. Okay, as promised, I want to give you a tour of the Elementor Cloud backend and how to manage your websites. All right, so right here where I have the SEO experts, I can come in here right now, click on manage this website. So what you will see is basically you would see the link to your site, the host ID and so on. Right here where you have publish your site, we do have SSL set up by default, which is of course excellent. But now if you wanted to add a custom domain, if you wanted to point your Elementor Cloud website to a different domain name, you can set it as a primary domain. We'll have to add a custom domain first. So right here, you have the add custom domain. I'm going to click in there. Now you will have these two information that you need. Your A record, which is basically the IP address of Elementor's web server, and then the canonical name seoexpress.elementor.cloud. All right, I'm going to click on got it next. So let me use this as an example, right? I'm over here on my hosting platform, CourseTyrant.com, and I do have this domain registered with them as well. So let me just copy this domain as an example. I'm going to come in here, paste that. So right here, it's going to say set CourseTyrant.com as my primary domain. Also create www.coursetyrant.com. I'll go ahead now and add that as my domain. So now you will see this message saying, hey, we're connecting CourseTyrant.com. And then over the next 48 hours, we'll check your domain is available. And then we'll check if your site needs an SSL record. And then when your domain is ready, I will notify you by email. Okay, I'm going to click on done. So here, you will now see the custom domains that I've just added. I'm going to set CourseTyrant.com as my primary domain, but I will not be able to do that until the actual domain itself is ready. So what I would need to do in this case right now would be to go to SiteGround, which is where I have the domain registered. And then right here, I'll go to the back end, come down here to domain, DNS zone editor. And right here under manage DNS records, we have the coursetyrant.com link right here. I'm going to have to click on the pen to edit the IP address, and then I'll paste the IP address of Elementor's web server, which is of course the 162.159.137.9. I'll add that in here and then click on confirm, and then in about 24 to 48 hours, it should be ready. Now, please note that this demonstration is, of course, specifically for SiteGround. If you have your domain with other sites like maybe Namecheap or GoDaddy, the process might be slightly different. But overall, you would need your A records, and in some cases, you would also need the canonical name as well. If you're having any issues, you can always talk to your web hosts and let them show you how to connect your domain name to Elementor's web server. They should be able to help you. If they can't help you, it might be time for you to find a different web host. So that's basically how adding custom domains would work. Site lock, we've talked about that already. And then backups, all right? If you want to create a backup, it's very, very, very simple. Right here, you'll see create new backup. I can click in there, and then let me just add this one, test2 backup. All right, click on create new backup, and depending on how large your site is in terms of like the plugins, themes, content, this may take anywhere from 1 minute to, let's say, even 5 minutes. So let's wait for a few seconds for the backup to finish. And as you can see, the backup has finished, and there it is. So there are several things I can do. I can choose to delete the backup if I don't need it anymore. I can restore the backup. You click on restore, simply check these 3 boxes, and then you just click on yes, restore, and Elementor will restore the backup. And then you can also choose to export the backup if you want to use it on a different site. And by the way, Elementor will make 5 backups of your site automatically. So if there's anything wrong with your site, you can always go back to a backup 5 days prior to the latest backup. So right here, you have debugging and troubleshooting. You can choose to reset the login attempts. Maybe you've logged yourself out of your website. Maybe you have a security feature that has a maximum number of unsuccessful login attempts and you've been logged out. You can come in here and reset all the attempts. And then finally, you can choose to turn on the WordPress and script debug option, which will show all the WordPress errors on your site when they occur. And finally, you have the help button right here. You can chat with the Elementor customer support. So that's a quick tour of the Elementor Cloud backend. Thank you for watching the video. I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, we are at the end of the course, but before I go, I wanted to encourage you to check out the other numerous elements that you have with Elementor. There are so many of them that we did not get the chance to talk about, but you have them right here. You have the video element, which you can use to display videos from YouTube, Vimeo, and so on. You have the animated headline, you have slides, portfolio gallery, which are very, very popular elements. You have the price table, call to action, you have your table of contents, which would be very useful for your posts. You have the block code, and so on and so forth. The list just goes on and on and on. So I'll encourage you to check out the other elements. You might also be interested in animations, how you can add some animations to your site to make it more lively. Let me give you some examples. Right here for the services, I can add some animation to the container. So I'm going to go to edit container, and then under advanced right here where you have motion effects, we have 2 types. We have the scrolling effects and then the mouse effects. Now for scrolling effects, this will depend on when the user or the visitor scrolls up and down the site. So right here, I can say, okay, for the scrolling effects, when there's a vertical scroll, I can click on the pen right here, and then the direction could be down as an example. So right now, you would need to configure the speed. Let's increase the speed a little bit so that it's very obvious. And then the viewport, I'm going to expand that one as well. So now if I scroll down, can you see how the from the blog section is now moving up? Do you see that? It's like moving up to accommodate the space left by the services because of the animation where we're basically pushing the services section downwards. So you have that option in there if you want to. You have ones like transparency or blur or even rotate. Let's try rotate. So I can click on rotate right here. So you can see this effect right now, where as the user is scrolling down, you have the services section scrolling back to its place until we have scrolled past a particular point. So in here, of course, you have the speed, the viewport. You can change the direction from left to right. So now it tilts from the right, as you can see. You have all these effects if you want to. And of course, for the mouse effects, you can turn that one on and you can do a 3D tilt if you want to. You can do a mouse tack as well if you wanted to. There's so many ways of playing around these. You can see that's the 3D tilt right there. Awesome, right? Very, very, very interesting. Let me just reset that one, reset that. And you can also do something called sticky, where the section or the element or the container will stick in its place. So if I turn this on, stick to the top, the way this works is once we reach the services section point, once I begin to scroll down, the services section will never scroll up anymore because we've made it sticky at the top of the page. So the rest of the page will now come up, as you can see. So there are some very creative ways on how you can apply these different types of animations. Now, in addition to the scrolling effects and mouse effects, we also have the entrance animation effects, where we can control how the element will be displayed once it's time for it to appear on the screen. As an example, we can do like the fade in, where you can see that the entire section just fades in. You have the slide, which I actually do like you have the sliding down like that as an example. You have sliding from the right, you have sliding from the left, and the list goes on and on and on. But please do not overdo the animations on your pages, because animations require more resources to run, and if you overdo it, it could have a negative impact on your page speeds. So please only use animations in very specific points and only when they're necessary to bring more life to your page. And in closing, if you'd like more tutorials on Elementor, I have an entire playlist here on YouTube on how you can work with Elementor, build different types of sites, work with different elements, and so on. That's it. Thank you so much. And of course, I will see you in another tutorial. Well, there it is. We've come to the end of today's tutorial where I've shown you how to build a business website by making use of Elementor Pro and the Elementor Cloud. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, share the video with anyone who may feel might benefit from it. If you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new tutorial. Once again, if you'd like to support me and support what I'm doing here on the channel and you want to buy Elementor Pro or Elementor Cloud, I'll have my links in the description box below. If you have any comments, questions, be sure to put them down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. It's been a pleasure. Stay safe out there and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.